Welcome to fifth session of module 3. This PPT has been prepared by referring many sources from the internet, books, notes. I do not claim any originality, and this is exclusively used for the purpose of education. Before we take up problems on compound interest factors, let us understand how to use a discrete compound interest factor table. This is how it looks. You can see this is how it looks. I have taken a simple sample of one page wherein the rate of interest is 7%. Normally these factor tables will run from quarter percent, half percent, 0.75, 1.52, and it goes up to 100%. Varies from one factor table to another factor table, depends on the PDF files. You can either download it from the internet, or even some of the textbooks have a copy of the factor tables. Normally it will be available as an appendix. You can refer there. And on the left hand side, the first column is always n, that is the number of time period. They wouldn't have mentioned whether it is year or semi-annual or quarterly or month, because n can change if the rate of interest changes from nominal interest rate to effective interest rate. So if the compounding period is semi-annual compounding or quarterly compounding, then n will not remain years. That's why they will not mention it as years. It's compounding periods. If it is annual compounding, then n will be in years. If it is semi-annual compounding, n will be in for every 6 months. If it is quarterly compounding, every 3 months. If it is monthly compounding, every month. Like that it happens. The first column is compound amount factor, that is to find f given p, and the ratio used is f by p. You are converting p to f, so that is the indication there. And the second column is single payment present worth factor. That means you are given f and converting it into p, or finding p. And the next factor is find a given f. F is known to you and a is to be found out. Next is p is known to you, a is to be found out. Next is a is given, f is to be found out. Next column is a is given, p is to be found out. Next column is g is given, that is the gradient, arithmetic gradient is given. I have to get the corresponding uniform series. Normally this last column is not available in many of the interest factor tables. Okay, so if it is available, you can convert g to p directly. Okay, it is a by g comma p by a. So that is a by g, this column multiplied by this column. It is available here. Okay, these two column, when you multiply, you can see that here 1.808 multiplied by 0.483, it gives 0.873. This multiplied by this, you will get this answer. It has been obtained like that. So whenever, for example, if the factor is given as f by p comma 7 comma 3, let us assume a simple example of say f by 3, f by p comma 7 comma n is say 3. So first is the ratio, second is I, third one is always n. Okay, when it is given f by p comma 7, 7 is I, we are already in that page. You have to select that particular page. If I is given as 8, you have to go to page containing interest value as 8%. N3, where is that N3? I have to search it here. So it is 3 is here. which is the ratio given? F by P comma 7 comma 3. Where is that F by P? F by P is here. So I have to get this value 1.225. It is as simple as that. Okay, suppose the ratio to be found out is A by P comma 7 comma 4. Then N is equal to 4. A by P, where is A by P? A by P is here. So this will be the value. This is how the interest factor tables are used. I hope it is clear to you. Now we will go to problems and we will try to solve some of the problems there. In this session we will discuss about solved examples on compound interest. In the previous session we discussed about the derivation of 6 interest factors: single payment compound amount factor, single payment present worth factor, uniform series present worth factor, uniform series capital recovery factor, uniform series compound amount factor, and uniform series sinking fund factor. In addition to them, we also discussed about the gradient flow. The money can change from year to year at a normal rate, at an arithmetic rate. That's what we term it as arithmetic gradient flow. Now we will try to implement those things in our day-to-day life. How can those formulae can be used to calculate the money flow, maybe in an industry or in our personal life, for our savings, for our pension, for all those things, how these compound interest factors can be used, that we will discuss in this session. Let us start with the gradient flow. Let me take an example of to find the present worth at end of year 0 of a gradient series that begins from end of year 1. This is the problem. In this problem we can observe that the first year the amount paid is 100, second year 150, third year 200, and fourth year 250. That we can very clearly observe that every year the amount is increasing by rupees 50, and hence the gradient amount, arithmetic gradient amount, can be treated as 50. How it is done? A1 is the first year's flow, that is 100 rupees. G is the arithmetic gradient amount that is increasing year after year, that is rupees 50, and I is the rate of interest, that is 7%. And how is the cash flow diagram? This is year 0, there is no cash flow in year 0. This is year 1, rupees 100, year 2, rupees 150, year 3, rupees 200, and year 4, rupees 250. Every year it is increasing by rupees 50. Now let us continue. First step in such cases is to convert this gradient flow into uniform flow. That is the first step. G must be converted into A. So uniform series A is given by A1, that is the first year's flow, plus G, that is the gradient flow, multiplied by A by G comma I comma N. A by G means I am converting this G into A. That is the meaning of A by G. I is the rate of interest and N is the number of years. So when I substitute these values in this equation, I get A1 as 100 plus G as rupees 50, A by G, that is conversion of G to A, comma 7, comma 4. From where do I get this value? For this you need to refer discrete compound interest factor tables. So that is available with many textbooks, or you can download it from internet. If you just search for discrete interest factor tables, many PDF files will open. You can download any one of them. In that, if you open the page which contains I as 7% and N as 4 years, you will get the value like this: 100 plus 50 multiplied by 1.416. From where did I get this? This is the factor value. See here, this is year 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the fourth year value. So on the left hand side you can observe, on the left hand side we have N, and on the top you will have so many factors being labeled, and Under this you will get the corresponding value of 1.416. This exercise has already been explained to you how to identify the values, and continuing in that way we are doing this. Substitute that value 1.416 in this and I get the value as 170.8. What does this 170.8 indicates? Instead of 100 in the first year, 150 in the second year, 200 in the third year, 250 in the fourth year, it is as good as having an uniform flow of 170 in the first year, 170.8 in the second year, 170.8 in the third year, and 178 in the fourth year. This is uniform flow of 170.8. This value is indicated here. This is the first step. I hope you have understood this point now. Okay, next step is, now I have to convert this A. This is A now. This is A. This A must be converted into P, because that is the question asked, present worth. Now A must be converted into P. How do I do that? Using the factor P by A. P by A means A is getting converted into P. So P is unknown. P is equal to A multiplied by P by A comma I comma N. Same method, wherein A is 170.8, P by A comma 7 comma 4. So 170.8 multiplied by P by A comma 7 comma 4. Again you have to refer the discrete factor tables, wherein you will get P by A comma 7 comma 4. Once you get that, here you can see that. See, under P by A comma 7 comma 4, the value is indicated as 3.387. Use that value, substitute that here, and you will get the value as 578.5. This is how we calculate this present worth of a gradient series of money flows. Next, we shall solve second problem in the same way to find the annual equivalent series of gradient series that begins at EOY 1. This is the problem. See, in the first year I have rupees 100, in the second year 90, in the third year 80, in the fourth year 70. What is happening here? Every year money is getting decreased by rupees 10. This is a decreasing gradient example. In the previous example it was an increasing gradient. This is a decreasing gradient example, and this is how the cash flow diagram appears. This is year 0, this is year 1, this is year 2, this is year 3, and this is year 4. So you can see that there is no money flow at year 0. First year 100, second year 90, next third year 80, fourth year 70, and you can see that it is decreasing by rupees 10 every year. How do we solve that? Method is the same. First step is A is equal to A1. Instead of plus, I use the symbol minus here. Why do you use the symbol minus here? Because the gradient is negative. It is decreasing. That's why I use the symbol minus here. G multiplied by A by G comma I comma N. A by G indicates G is being converted into A. These are the basic things which you need to remember. The next step is A is equal to 100 minus 10 multiplied by A by G comma 10 comma 4. 10 is the rate of interest and N is number of years, that is 4. I substitute those values. From where do I get this A by G comma 10 comma 4? Same thing, open up compound interest factor table with I is equal to 10% and search for N is equal to 4 starting from the leftmost column. When you get that N is equal to 4, identify A by G comma 10 comma 4. You will get the value as 1.388. Okay, see here, from this we can get it as 1.388. Once you get that 1.388, substitute that value. Now you got the value of A is equal to 86.12. What is this 86.12? This is the uniform series of payments of this gradient factor. Now earlier it was decreasing by 10 rupees every year. Now it has been converted into a uniform series of flow of 86.12 in the first year, 86.12 in the second year, 86.12 in the third year, and 86.12 in the fourth year. So this is 86.12 and that has been substituted here. Now this cash flow diagram can be replaced by this cash flow diagram. That is the meaning of that. But that is not the question. Now the question is how to convert this into P. If it is to be converted into P, same procedure what we had followed in the previous example. Multiplied this by P by A comma I comma N. To get that, P is equal to A multiplied by P by A comma I comma N. What is this A? This A is 86.12. Substitute that here. P by A comma 10 comma 4. I is 10%, same value. N is same 4 years. There is no change. And from where do I get this P by A comma 10 comma 4? Again open up the discrete factor tables of I is equal to 10%. Search for P by A column there. Under P by A column, search for N is equal to 4. Using that, see, this is how it appears. What is the value? 3.170. See here, you can see that 3.170. Substitute that value, you will get rupees 273. That is the present worth of this gradient flow of money. Let me take the third example now. How long would it take for an investor to double its money at 10% compounded annually? A very simple problem. See, anyone would like to know, if I invest some amount today, how long will it take for this amount to double itself? That means if I invest 100 rupees today, how long will it take to double itself, means become 200 rupees at 10% compounded annually? If that is the case, let us see how it is to be solved. First step is, what is that I am trying to identify here? I am identifying the F. What am I given? This is the relationship between an investor to double its money. I am investing some amount today. If I am investing some amount today, that is P. Okay, and it has to be compounded after some time. How long it will? That means I am trying to identify an amount after some time, that is F. There is no question of continuous payment here. This is the relationship between P and F. First you have to identify which are all the given factors. Okay, that is the first job you need to do in whenever you are given a problem. So first I can understand that I am investing some amount today, that is P, which gets compounded to F after some time. How much time, that I don't know, but I know that it is compounding at an amount at a percentage of 10% per annum. Let me use the relationship of F is equal to P multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of N. Since the money invested today becomes double, we can say that F is equal to 2P. Yes or no? So if I invest P today, it will become 2P after some time. So F is nothing but it is your 2P. That's what I have written here. F is equal to 2P. You can see that here. Okay. Now instead of F, I will write it as 2P, that is equal to P into 1 plus I. 1 plus I is 10%. Please remember that don't substitute the value in percentage here. You should always substitute it in terms of decimal place. So 10% is nothing but 0.1. Okay, to the power of N. PP gets cancelled. 2 is equal to 1.n to the power of N. when I take the logs, n log 1.1 is equal to log 2. Log on both sides, it becomes n log 1.1, that is equal to log 2. So n is equal to log 2 divided by log 1.1 to the base 10. Log is to the base 10. When you get the values and substitute those values, you will get it as 7.27 years. This is a very simple calculation. What you need to understand here is that if you invest some amount today, it will get doubled at a rate of interest of 10% after 7.27 years, compounded annually. If the compounding is semi-annual, then what will happen? N will get reduced. That means it gets reduced. In other words, you can double the amount at a faster rate, because effective interest rate is not equal to 10%, because as the compounding period is more. If the compounding period is semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, as the compounding period increases, effective interest rate increases. As a result, time required to double itself decreases. This is the point that you should always remember. I repeat again, as the effective interest rate increases, how do we increase the effective interest rate? By increasing the number of compounding periods. In other words, instead of annual compounding, if I go for semi-annual compounding or quarterly compounding or monthly compounding, the compounding periods increase. If the compounding periods increase, effective interest rate increases. If the effective interest rate increases, then the time required for an amount to double itself decreases. This is the basic knowledge that any investor should have. The next problem is, a person deposits rupees 10,000 for a period of 5 years at an interest rate of 8%. What is the accumulated amount at the end of 5 years? Now let us understand, this problem is the relationship between what and what. That is the first step you need to identify. A person deposits rupees 10,000. When does he deposit? Normally deposit is done at the beginning. When you are depositing that at the beginning, that means that is always present worth, today. You are depositing it today, which is nothing but P, present worth. So P is equal to rupees 10,000. And what is the accumulated amount? What is being asked? Accumulated amount, compounded amount, future amount. They are all one and the same meaning words. Either we can use the word accumulated amount or the compounded amount or the future amount. That means this is the amount that we are trying to get after some year. After some years. How many years? After 5 years. So what is that we are trying to identify? We are given P. What is unknown? F is unknown. F is not known to me. P is known to me. So this is the relationship between P and F. This is the first job you need to identify. Once you get that this is the relationship between P and F, next job is to draw the cash flow diagram. What is the cash flow diagram? First draw the timeline. Timeline 0 to 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now what is given? P is given. How much? 10,000 rupees. Okay. Whether you are losing that money or gaining that money, you are paying that. You are depositing that. See here, you are depositing. When you deposit, what happens to that money? You are losing that money from your account. Yes or no? Right? So now when you are losing that money, that becomes at the bottom side of the timeline, horizontal line. Now what will happen? What is required? F is required. When F is required? At the end of 5 years. How do I represent that? I represent it like this. See here, what is F after 5 years? So what is given? P is given. What is required? F is required at the end of 5 years. How do I solve? Simple formula. F is equal to P multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of n. Same formula. Substitute the values. What is P? 10,000. Substitute that here. Multiplied by 1 plus 0.08. I have said already 8 is not in percent, 8 is in decimal place. So 8% is nothing but 0.08. So represent or substitute I in the form of decimal place as 0.08 whole raised to n. What is n? 5 years. So F is equal to 10,000 multiplied by 1.08 to the power of 5. From where do I get that 1.4693? By calculating 1.08 to the power of 5, I get 1.4693, and when I multiply them, I get 14,693. The other method is using factor tables. This is one method. See, this is the method of solving the problem using the formula. The same problem can also be solved using factor tables. How? Let us see that. First step, same thing. Formula has to be used as the same because formula cannot change. F is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of n. Now F is equal to P into this 1 plus I to the power of n, which is termed as single payment compound amount factor, can be written as F by P comma I comma n, which indicates P is being converted into F. That means I know P, I have to calculate F multiplied by I comma n. So numerator is unknown, denominator is known. Please remember that point. Whenever I write F by P, see here, F is here. If P is brought to left hand side, it becomes F by P, no? That means F is unknown, P is known. Numerator is unknown, denominator is known. So that is how F by P is written. Okay, F by P comma I comma n. Next step, F by P comma 8 comma 5. From where did I get this 8? That is 8%. N is equal to 5 years. That is also known here. So those two values are substituted. From factor tables, see here, this is the factor table. at 8% compound interest value, n is equal to 5 years. See here, 1.469. Substitute that value. When you substitute that value, you get 14,690. Now my dear friends, just observe these values. Here when I multiplied 1.08 to the power of 5, I got 1.4693. From tables, how much did I get? 1.469. What is this 1.4693? That is nothing but this value, this bracketed value, 1 plus I to the power of n. That is nothing but your f by p comma 8 comma 5. That is nothing but your 1.469. Did you understand the relationship now? How the factor tables have been prepared? Factor tables have been prepared for the bracketed factor. Okay. So this bracketed factor value are there in the factor tables. Instead of using the formula, I can use the factor tables and still get the answer. 14.693, 14,693 rupees different, that is negligible because factor tables are approximate, they are not exact values. So this method can also be followed. Let us discuss the next problem. A person wants to purchase a house worth rupees 40 lakhs for his retired life. If the age of the person is 40 years now and he retires obviously at 60 years, how much should be deposited today at the rate of 9% compounded annually to fulfill his wish? What does he want? He wants to purchase a house worth rupees 40 lakhs when at the age of 60. That means 20 years from now. So what is this 40 lakhs? 40 lakhs is nothing but the future amount that is occurring after 20 years. F is known to me. So what is to be calculated? The amount to be deposited today. Whenever we deposit any amount today, that is nothing but present worth P. So P is unknown to me, F is known to me. F is 40 lakhs, rate of interest is 9% and N is equal to 20 years. First let us draw the cash flow diagram. Horizontal line with 20 years timeline. P is unknown to me, F is known to me as 40 lakhs. Relationship between P and F. P is equal to F divided by 1 plus I to the power of N. When you substitute the values, 40 lakhs 1 plus 1.09 to the power of 20, 5.604. Let us solve the same problem in the second method using interest factor tables. P is equal to F multiplied by P by F comma I comma N. P by F means F is being converted into P. P is unknown, F is known. That's why P by F. In the earlier case, it was F by P. Why it was F by P? Then P was known, F was unknown. That's why it was F by P. Here P is unknown, F is known, and hence P by F. You are identifying the present worth. That's why P by F. Compound amount factor, F by P. That's all. Substitute the values. P by F comma 9 comma 20. From where do I get that? See here. This is F by P. This column is F by P. This column is P by F. Okay. When you find out that P by F, you will get that as 0.1784. Substitute that value, 0.1784. From how did you get this 1.1784? 0.1784 is nothing but 1 divided by 5.604. You can check that in your calculator. If you calculate 1 divided by 5.604, you will get the value as 0.1784. Substitute that value and you will get the answer as 713600. Whether you use this method number 1, or you say method number 2 using factor tables, you will get the same answer. Both are acceptable. The next problem is a person borrows a loan so as to clear it by paying an amount of rupees 5 lakhs per annum for 15 years starting next year from now. What is the loan amount if the rate of interest is 10%? Now let us identify what is the given data and what is to be found out. This is the first step that you need to do. Borrows a loan so as to clear it by paying an amount of rupees 5 lakhs per annum. See here, in this case he is paying an amount of rupees 5 lakhs per annum, means every year for 15 years. That means this 5 lakh is recurring every year. That means it is a uniform series of payments of rupees 5,000 for 15 years. What is the notation used for uniform series of payments? Notation used is A. That means A is known to me. What is to be found out? A person borrows a loan. When do we borrow a loan? We normally borrow a loan today. Whenever a money flows today, what is that? That is nothing but P. P is unknown, P is to be calculated, A is known. This is the relationship between P and A. Okay. So A is 5 lakhs, I is given as 10% and N is equal to 15 years. They are all very clear. First let us draw the cash flow diagram. First draw the timeline 0 to 15. Then what is to be found out? That is P is to be found out. Okay. Why it is in the positive flow? Because you borrow a loan. When you borrow a loan, what happens? It comes to your account. That's why P is on the positive side. A, what will happen to A? A will obviously on the negative side. See here, A are all on negative side. Why they are on negative side? They are on negative side because every year you have to pay that 5 lakh rupees. Since you need to pay that 5 lakh rupees, you are losing that money and hence they are on the negative side. So A is known to me, rupees 5 lakhs. P is unknown to me. So this is the relationship between A and P. What is the formula? P is equal to A multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 whole thing divided by I multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of n. Substitute the values clearly. When you substitute the values, 5,000 1 plus I to the power of and calculate, you will get it as 5 lakhs multiplied by 3.177 whole thing divided by 4.177. I can calculate the same problem using factor tables. Formula remains the same. P is equal to A multiplied by P by A comma I comma N, P by A comma 10 comma 15. From factor tables, I get it as P by A comma 10 comma 15, that is 7.606. And when I substitute those values, I get it as 3803,040. That means 38 lakhs 3,040 rupees. That is the loan amount. If you want to clear the loan amount of 38 lakhs 3,040 rupees, you have to make a payment of rupees 5 lakhs every year for 15 years at a annual interest rate of rupees, I mean to say 10%. When annual interest rate is 10%, and if you make a payment of 5 lakhs per annum for 15 years, then the loan amount is 38 lakhs 3,040 rupees. In other words, if you borrow a loan of 38 lakh 3,040 rupees, that loan can be cleared in this way by paying rupees 5 lakhs per annum for 15 years at an interest rate of 10%. The next problem is, if a person wants an accumulated sum of rupees 10 lakhs at the end of 10 years from now, what equal annual amount must be deposited to get the amount at I is equal to 8%? Again, first step in every problem is that you have to identify what is given, what is unknown. then which formula must be used can be easily used. A person wants an accumulated sum. Accumulated sum means what? F. I have already said accumulated sum, future sum, compounded amount, they are all one and the same. So F is known to me. What equal annual amount must be deposited? What is that you are depositing? Are you depositing it only once or are you depositing it every year? See here, equal annual amount that must be deposited means you are depositing this amount every year. So what is to be found out? A is to be found out. So F is known to me, that is 10 lakh rupees. A is to be found out. So this is a relationship between F and A. At an interest rate of 8%, N is equal to 10 years. This is the given data. Let us draw the cash flow diagram. Draw the timeline, okay, of 0 to 10 years. A for 10 years, they are all unknown. I don't know what is A. F is known to me. F is equal to 10 lakhs. 10 years from now. What is that now? This is now 0. 0th year is always termed as now or today. That is where the timeline begins from. Okay. Now, what is the first step? Use the formula. What is the formula? A is equal to F multiplied by I divided by 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1. Substitute the values. F is equal to 10 lakh. I is equal to 0.08. And when you substitute all those things, you get this bracketed amount as 0.069. Substitute that value and you will get it as 69030. Let us solve it using the second method. A is equal to F multiplied by A by F comma I comma N. Again, what does that mean? A by F. I am converting this F into A. That means F is known to me, A is unknown to me. At an interest rate of 8% for N is equal to 10 years. Substitute those values. So I am identifying A for a known F. So A is getting calculated for a known F. Let us get it the value of A by F comma 8 comma 10 from factor tables. N is equal to 10. See here. Okay. Now I have to identify 0.069, this column. This is the column that contains A by F values. So see here 0.0690. This first column is always F by P, second column is always P by F, third column is normally A by F. Okay. So you can see these headings on the factor tables. When you see the heading, you can very easily understand that. 0.690. See here 0.0690 here, 0.069 here. Both are one and the same. Is there any difference? No. That's what I have been telling you. These values, what is there available in the factor tables, they are nothing but this bracketed amount, bracketed value. The value that you calculate using the brackets is the value given in the factor tables. Sometimes it will be exact, sometimes it will be an approximate. Both are acceptable. And hence the value that I get is 69,030. 30 rupees difference will obviously be there because of this is not exact value. So that difference will be there. You need not have to worry. That is quite acceptable. Next problem is, suppose a man lends rupees 10,000 for 4 years at 12% per annum simple interest. He invests the entire amount thus obtained for 10 years at 8% compounded annually. What is the total accumulated amount at the end of 14 years? This is the problem. Okay, let us solve this problem. First again, what is that known, what is to be calculated? That is what you need to say. This is done in two stages. Because see here, he lends rupees 10,000 for 4 years at 12% per annum, simple interest. PA means per annum. So first he is lending, that means this is P, he is getting some amount after 4 years. So in the first stage, P is known to me, I am calculating F. So P is known to me, I am calculating F at a simple interest. I is equal to PIN, that is 4,800. You substitute the values. I is 12%, N is 4 years, and you get the total accumulated sum as 14,800. So F is 14,800. First stage is over. Now this amount, what am I doing? I am investing this 14,800 in the second stage at a compound interest rate of 8% for 14 years. Okay, let us start with the second stage. So what is this depositing this 14,800? I am depositing that today. Today in the sense what? At the end of 4 years. So when I invest that at the end of 4 years, that is P. So P is known to me. What am I trying to get? Total accumulated amount. Accumulated amount in the sense what? Future amount, accumulated amount, compounded amount. That is nothing but F. What is F? Calculate F. Use the formula. F is equal to P multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of N. Substitute the values and you will get it as 31,952 rupees. Let us solve the same problem using factor tables. F is equal to P multiplied by F by P comma I comma N. F is unknown, P is known to me, so I am converting this P into F. Substitute the values. From here, the first column is always F by P. For 10th year, you can get it as, see here, 2.159, 2.1589. Exact value is 2.1589. The approximate value from the tables is 2.159. When you substitute that, you will get the answer as 31,953. Just 1 rupee difference. That is quite acceptable. Next problem is, if an amount of rupees 4,50,000 is deposited in bank, in how many months it amounts to rupees 10 lakhs when I is equal to 9% compounded monthly. See, this is a different case now. I have introduced effective interest rate in this problem. First stage, as I have already said, identify what is known and what is unknown. Then only you can understand the relationship. An amount of rupees 4.5 lakhs, that means 4,50,000 is deposited in the bank. That means when do we deposit? We deposit today. Today is nothing but P. P is known to me. In how many months it amounts to rupees 10 lakhs when I is equal to 9%. That means F becomes 10 lakhs. That is also known to me. Okay. And I is also known to me. Then what is to be calculated? In how many months? In how many months means what? What is the notation used? N. N is equal to how much? That is the question asked. Till now we have been solving the problem. P is known, calculate F. A is known, calculate P. F is known, calculate A. Like that we have calculated. This is a new case wherein P is also known, F is also known. That is, amounts are known, but the time period is unknown. N is unknown. First step, identify the relationship. F is equal to P multiplied by F by P comma I comma N. Substitute the values. F by P is equal to 10 lakhs divided by 4.5 lakhs, 2.22. You get it as 2.22. Now, why I have used this 9 by 12 here? I have used 9 by 12 here because if you remember, I had told when you are calculating I for a compounded monthly, when I is compounded monthly, I becomes I by 12. that value is being used here. That is why I becomes I by 12. Okay, and n becomes 12n, and whatever you are getting that here, whatever the final answer you get, that is nothing but 12n, not just n. That you remember. So 9 by 12 is nothing but 0.75, that is 0.75%. When you substitute, we get n is equal to 104 at n is equal to 104 from the factor table. See, first let me draw the cash flow diagram. P is 4.5 lakhs, F is equal to 10 lakhs, N is equal to what? So from the factor table, see here, for 104, F by P is equal to 2.175, at N is equal to 120, 2.451. Why did I select these two? Because I want F by P value as 2.22. See here, I want F by P value as 2.22. In factor tables, do I get that exact 2.22? No, 2.175 at n is equal to 104 and 2.451 at n is equal to 120. 2.22 is in between 2.175 and 2.451. Hence, what I have to do? I need to interpolate. When I do the interpolation, I get n as 107 months. Okay, that is nothing but your 12n value. That is the total 12n is equal to 107. How do I interpolate? 104. What is this 104? That is the lower value. 104 plus. Why this is 104 plus? You need to just see 2.22 is nearer to which value. See, 2.22 is nearer to 2.175 rather than 2.451. That is why it is 104 plus, or else it would have been 120 minus. Okay, in this case it is 104 plus because 2.22 is nearer to 2.175, and hence it is 104 plus 16. What is this 16? That is the difference between these two values, 104 and 120. What is the difference between 120 and 104? 16. That value has been substituted here. 16 multiplied by 2.22, mid value. I call it as mid value minus 2.175. I call it as lower value. Mid value minus lower value divided by 2.451, that is the higher value minus lower value. So the interpolation method, you can use any interpolation method as per your maths classes. This is one of the interpolation method what I have used here. Mid value minus lower value divided by higher value minus lower value, and when I substitute the values, calculate, and I get it as 107 months. Okay, I can also use the formula method, which is a bit easier when compared to this factor table method. So I recommend that whenever you need to calculate n or I, you better use the formula method, because that is more convenient than doing the interpolation. See here, you can directly get it here. F is equal to 10 lakh, that is equal to 4 lakh 50,000 multiplied by 1 plus 0.0075 whole rise to n. 2.22 is equal to 1 plus 0.0075 whole rise to n. N is equal to, taking log on both sides, I get very easily 107 months. Okay. The choice is yours. You can use any method as you prefer. Next problem is, a loan of rupees 3 lakh is made with a promise that 5 lakhs will be paid after 4 years. At what rate of interest, compounded semi-annually, 3 lakhs must be invested to clear a loan in 4 years. Again, what is this case? A loan of rupees 3 lakh is made with a promise that 5 lakhs will be paid after 4 years. You are making this loan of 3 lakhs when? Today. Today means what? That is nothing but 3 lakh is P. 5 lakhs will be paid after 4 years. What does that mean? You are paying this 5 lakhs after 4 years. That means after some time. That is nothing but your F. What is N? N is 4 years. So what is unknown? Compounded semi-annually. Okay. At what rate of interest? What rate of interest means what? I is equal to what? I is to be calculated here. So first let us draw the cash flow diagram. Timeline of 4 years. P is 3 lakhs. F is 5 lakhs. Okay. I is equal to what? From factor tables, F by P, let me use the formula. F is equal to P into F by P comma I by 2. Why I by 2 here? Because it is compounded semi-annually. We have already discussed that whenever it is semi-annual compounding, I becomes I by 2 and N becomes 2N. In the previous example, we discussed that since it was monthly compounding, I became I by 12 and N became 12N. Since in this case it is semi-annual compounding, I will be I by 2 and N will be 2N. That's same notations have been used here. F by P is equal to 5 lakh divided by 3 lakhs, that is equal to 1.667. See here at 6% I get 1.594 at N is equal to 8. Why N is equal to 8 here? Even though N is equal to 4 years, I have to consider 2N. Hence it is 8. Don't get confused. Since it is semi-annual compounding, N is not N, N is 2N. 2N means 2 into 4, that is equal to 8. That's why I have to get the values pertaining to 8, which is nothing but 1.594. You can see that here. Substitute that value. Similarly, the value required for me is 1.667. Let me check it up for 7%. How much do I get? For 7% at N is equal to 8, it is 1.718. So 1.667 is not exactly available. So at 6% the value is 1.594. At 7% the value is 1.718. Again I have to do the interpolation between these two. Same method I have used here. See, 1.594 is more nearer to 1.667 and hence I have used 6 plus 1. What is this 1? The difference between 6 and 7. 1. That 1 I have used here, multiplied by mid value minus lower value. What is that mid value? 1.667. That is the required value for me. Mid value minus lower value divided by higher value minus lower value. Same method I have followed and I got it as 6.588 or approximately I is equal to 6.6%. We can also solve the problem using the formula method. The next problem is Mr. Pranay deposits the profit earned by his company for a period of 5 years from 2014. Profit earned varies from year to year and as shown below, find the compounded amount on 2019 at I is equal to 12%. See, this is the value that he earns. Okay, 2014 he earns 2 lakhs, 15 3 lakhs, 16 5 lakhs, 17 3 lakhs, 18 4 lakhs. First let us draw the cash flow diagram. Draw the timeline of from 2014 till 2019 and the cash flows in each year. And what is the question asked? Find the compounded amount on 2019. That means compounded amount is nothing but F. F is equal to what? This is the cash flow diagram. So this is the relationship between. Can it be A? No, it cannot be A. Why it can't be A? Many of you will get confused here. Please be careful. This is a very special case. That's why I have selected this problem. Even though money is flowing every year, can I consider it as A? It cannot be considered as A because what is A? A is uniform series. Is it uniform? It is not uniform. Why it is not uniform? See here, in 1 year it is 2 lakh, second year 3 lakhs, third year 5 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs. Each one of them are different. Since each one of them are different, this is not uniform series of money flow. Hence it is not A. Treat each flow as a separate flow of P. Convert that into F. That is how we need to solve the problem. So first step is F is equal to, first let us convert this 2 lakh into F. How do we convert this 2 lakh into F? 2 lakh multiplied by F by P. That means P is being converted into F. F by P comma, what is I? I is equal to 12 comma 5. Okay. Next, have to convert this 3 lakh. 3 lakh is equal to 3 lakh multiplied by F by P comma 12 comma 4. Why this 5? Why this 4? Let us count that. See, first come to this first line. F by P comma 11 comma 5. 2014 is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the gap? 5. That's why n is equal to 5. Let us come to the second, that is 3 lakhs. It is here. What is the gap? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's why n is equal to 4. Now the next line. Next amount is 5 lakhs multiplied by F by P comma 11 comma 3. Where is this 5 lakhs? 5 lakhs is here. 1, 2, 3. That's why n is equal to 3. You can very easily see that here. And then 3 lakhs, that is the fourth year's flow, that is 2017's flow. Where is that 3 lakh? 3 lakh is here. What is the jump? 1 year, 2 years. So n is equal to 2. And finally the 2018's flow, 4 lakhs. 2018 year is here, 2019 is here. Only 1 year jump, and hence n is equal to 1. When you substitute the values from interest factors, you will get the 1.611 and all those things. We have already discussed that, how to get the values from interest factor tables, and you will get F as 2229,900. That means 22,29,900. See, the total amount that he gets after 5 years at the interest rate of 12% is 22,29,900. The next problem is the lease on a warehouse amounts to rupees 5,000 per month for 5 years. If payments are made on the first of each month, what is the present worth of the agreement at an annual interest rate of 12% compounded annually? This is a case of monthly compounding at A is equal to 5,000, and payment is made at the beginning of month. That is the difference between this problem and the earlier problems. In all the earlier problems, payment was end of year, end of month, end of 6 months. But here it is beginning of the month. Let us see the cash flow diagram. 0 to 59. Why it is 0 to 59? Because the first payment starts on the 0th year itself. So total 60 payments are there. So it doesn't go up to 60th month. Since it starts from 0th, it ends on 59th month. This is how it appears. 59 deposits are made. Value of rupees 5,000. P is equal to what? So now, how do I calculate? First, let me start with this step. P1 is equal to A by P comma A multiplied by P by A comma I comma N. That is A multiplied by P by A comma 1 comma 59. How did I get this 1? Because it is compounded monthly. I becomes I by 12. So 12 by 12 is equal to 1. Okay. Why 59? If you remember in my previous session, in one slide I had explained points to remember. In that I had very clearly said the relationship between P by A, the first A starts from 1 year from the T is equal to 0. It is 1 year, or since in this case it is monthly compounding, it is 1 month from T is equal to 0. So this cash flow is not considered here. So there are totally 60 cash flows. If I discard this first cash flow that is happening on the 0th year or 0th month, I mean to say, how many cash flows remain? 59 cash flows remain. That is why n will be 59. I hope I am clear over here. Let me repeat. Whenever I convert A into P, the first A will always start from one period from now. What is that now? Now is 0th year. So one period from now means in this case it is first month, since it is monthly compounding. So the cash flows that starts from first month onwards must be considered. That means the cash flow on the 0th month is not considered. If I do not consider the cash flow in the 0th month, how many cash flows will remain? 59 cash flows will remain, and hence n is equal to 59. Remaining things I have explained many a time. Substitute the values, use the formula, and you will get the amount as 222023. Is this problem over now? No. I have accounted for 59 cash flows. What about the first cash flow of 5,000 rupees? Did I consider that in this calculation, in this stage, in the first stage? Did I consider the 0th month's cash flow of 5,000 rupees? No, I have not calculated that. I have not considered for calculation in the first stage. I have considered only 59 cash flows. That means the 0th month's cash flow has not been considered. Now the question is, what is that amount? Today I deposit. If I calculate the amount that it earns today itself, will it earn anything? The answer is very simple. It cannot earn anything, because it starts earning only after from today. Today I am depositing, today itself I am withdrawing. Can it earn anything? No, it cannot earn anything. That's why any amount deposited on the 0th month or 0th year, or that is today or now, will remain as it is, and hence that will remain as 5,000. That has to be added. So what is the total present worth? The total present worth is 222023 obtained from this calculation plus the amount deposited today. Total amount is 227023. This completes the problem. Let us see the next problem. Mr. Harsha, who is 45 today, plans for retirement. He expects an amount of rupees 3 lakhs per year starting from his 60th year, which increases by an amount of rupees 30,000 per year till he is 75. What amount must be invested today at I is equal to 10% to make this plan successful? What is this case about? He expects an amount of rupees 3 lakhs per year starting from his 60th year, which increases by an amount of rupees 30,000 per year till he is 75. You have to be very careful here, dear friends. Till now we have been discussing uniform series of payments. That is, he expects an amount of rupees 3 lakhs per year. That's what this statement used to be. Now, in addition to this 3 lakhs per year, there is one more amount which is 30,000 per year. How? It increases by an amount of rupees 30,000 per year. What does that mean? First year it is 3 lakhs, second year it is 3 lakhs plus 30,000, next year it is 3 lakh plus 60,000, next 3 lakhs plus 90,000, like that it increases every year by 30,000 rupees till he is 75. So what is this case about? This is not a case about uniform series of payment. This is a case about gradient factor, arithmetic gradient. The amount is increasing every year by 30,000. What I am interested and would like to caution you here is that whenever it is uniform series of payments, there will be only one value like this, say 3 lakhs per year, 30,000 per year, 80,000 per year, that's all. But whenever it is a gradient amount factor, in addition to this 3 lakhs per year statement, there will be one more value stating that it increases by an amount of 30,000, decreases by an amount of 100, increases by an amount of 18,000, something like that. So in a statement there will be two values. One, the first year's payment, second, the gradient amount. So this is what is the difference between whether the value given is uniform series of payments or gradient series of payments. Since there are two values here, it is gradient series of payments. And what is to be found out? What amount must be invested today? What amount must be invested today means what? You are investing today. Today means it's always P. So what is given? G is given. Okay. First G must be converted into A. Then A can be converted into P. So this is how it happens. First let us convert G into A, then A into P. First let us draw the cash flow diagram. The A1 is equal to 3 lakh, that is the first year's payment. G is equal to 30,000, that is the gradient factor. I is equal to 10%. N is equal to 15 plus 1, that is equal to 16 years. Why it is 15 plus 1? Let us analyze the cash flow diagram. When is the first payment? First payment starts from 60th year. See here, first payment starts from 60th year. Okay, so P is to be found out. So first payment starts from 60th year, right? So this is the first payment and it goes up to 75th year. What is the difference between 60, this point, and 75th year? If you count, you will get it as 16 years. That's why N is equal to 16. You need to be again a little bit careful here. Normally what do we do? What mistake we do? 60, 75. So it is 15 years. No. If the first payment had started from 61st year, then it would have been 75. I mean, it would have been 15 because total number of payments would be 15. In this case, first payment starts on 60th. That's why the total number or total payments would be 16 and hence N is equal to 60. Okay. First, we shall calculate the uniform series. As I have already said, first let us convert this G into A. That is our first step. A is equal to A1 plus G. Why it is plus G? Because it is an increasing gradient. A1 plus G multiplied by A by G comma I comma N. Let us substitute the values here. A is equal to 3 lakh. A1 value we have already got this here, plus 30,000. G value, that is also available here, multiplied by A by G comma I, that is also available here, 10. N is equal to 16, that is also available here. Just substitute the values. Okay, and get the value of A by G comma 10 comma 16 from the factor tables and you will get it as 5.549. And when you multiply that, you will get it as 4,66,470. What is this 4,66,470? That is nothing but A. That means uniform series of payments. What does this step do? This step converts G, gradient factor, into uniform series of payments A. That's how I used the term A by G. That means converting G into A. This is only half done. What is my actual requirement? My requirement is to what amount must be invested today. That means my intention is to find out B. Now this A should be converted into P. That is my second step. Let us do that. So P1, let us have an interim P1. Why that interim P1 I will explain. First let me convert this A into P. A multiplied by P by A being converted into P, comma I comma N. I is 10, N is equal to 16. N will not change because there are 16 flows. If you count there are 16 flows, N will be 16 and hence N will be 16. So this value we have already got, and this value get it from the factor tables, and this amount is 3649661. Now how does the cash flow diagram appears now? The cash flow diagram appears something like this. See, horizontal line, and I have got the value as 466,470. So starting from 60th year, there are 16 flows like this, each value up to 75th year. So this each value is of 466,470. Okay, now I have converted this uniform series into P. That means whenever you convert A into P, I have told many a times, whenever you convert A into P, its P will be situated just 1 year before the first payment. When is the first payment? The first payment is on 60th year. So where will its P be situated? P will be situated here. That is, what is the year of this particular point? That will be 59. That's all. Okay. It can't jump to this. What is this year actually? That is his present age. That is 45. His present age is 45. Whenever you convert this uniform series, it just jumps 1 year before the first payment. First payment is on 60th year, so its P will be on 59th year. So that is this value, 3,64,000, 36,49,661. So that is this value. Now what I have to do? Is my solution over? No. This is my second step is over. I have to go to third step. That's why I have used the interim P1 here. So this is my P1. Now P1 must be converted into this P. Okay. This P, how do I convert this P? Now everything what has happened, this uniform series has been erased and only P1 is available now. How does it look to you now? This is nothing but a single payment. Yes or no? Just a single payment. When is it happening? At a later stage, and hence what can I say? This is nothing but F. Yes or no? This is nothing but F with respect to year 45. So now this F must be converted into P. How? Using the factor P is equal to P1 multiplied by P by F. That is, F is being converted into P, comma I, comma N. What is I? I remains the same, 10%. What is N? Now you have to be a little bit careful. 45 to 59, literally count the number of years. Don't jump into any conclusion. Okay, literally count the number of years very carefully. When you count the number of years, you will get it as 14, and substitute that value 14, P by F comma 10 comma 14, and get the value from interest factor tables. Multiply it by this 364,9661, whatever you have calculated. Now you will get the answer as 960,956. That means if you invest 9,60,956 today, that is when on his 45th year, he will get whatever the plan he has. That is 3 lakhs on the 60th year, which increases by 30,000 till he is 75. If he wants to satisfy that plan, he has to invest 9,60,956 rupees, approximately 9,61,000. Okay, Is this clear? So with this I would like to conclude this module 3. There is no end for this. You need to practice. I have covered almost every problem, P to F, F to P, A to F, F to A, uh, P to A to P, and gradient. Everything I have considered. uh, Deferred annuity I have considered. All this is a case of deferred annuity. Annuity is at a later stage. It doesn't start from the beginning itself. I have also considered beginning. In all these problems are end of year payments. I have also considered one problem in the previous problem, beginning month payment. That means that starts on the first of every month. That problem I have also considered. So go through these sessions again. If you have any doubt, go through the video again and again so that you can understand it in a clear way. Thank you.